I thank Zimbabwe. I now give the floor to Barbados on behalf of the Caribbean community.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It is my honor to deliver this statement on behalf of the 14 member states of the Caribbean community, CARICOM, on agenda item 70 of the program of work of this committee, promotion and protection of the rights of children. CARICOM attributes great importance to this topic and looks forward to today's discussion. We wish to congratulate you, sir, and the entire Bureau on your new roles, and we commit to supporting you in the timely and successful execution of our program of work of this committee. In this regard, we thank the Secretary General for the reports prepared pursuant to today's agenda. These reports show that while our work has borne much fruit and has accomplished significant achievements, there still remains more to be done to protect the world's children, to ensure that our boys are not cut down by bombs and bullets before they become men, to ensure that our girls have equal opportunities for education, growth, and development, to ensure that none of our children are choked by the disability and death of wood fires, to ensure that our children are not born and die in and as a result of abject poverty, and to ensure that all children everywhere are protected from discrimination, all forms of violence and harm. This year, we will negotiate and present for adoption an omnibus resolution that captures our efforts over the past 5 years. In doing so, we reflect on our calls to remove barriers that perpetuate discrimination and inequality and prevent children from accessing the resources for their survival, growth, and development, give full effect to the right to education for all children, protect the large and growing number of migrant children who may be particularly vulnerable along their journey, and strengthen efforts to prevent and protect children from violence. Mr. Chairman, we are now in the era of the Sustainable Development Goals and the 2030 Development Agenda. In consequence, as we prepare to commemorate in November of this year, the 30th anniversary on the Convention of the Rights of the Child, may I suggest that our work must look ahead to the fulfillment of our commitments to our children made within the context of the parameters of the SDGs. Mr. Chairman, this timely intersection of commitments under the SDGs and the Convention on the Rights of the Child offers us the opportunity to contemplate a critical question posed by the United Nations Children's Fund in its March 2018 report, Progress for Every Child in the SDG Era. And that question is, are we on track to achieve the SDGs for children? Mr. Chairman, this question requires from each of us an honest assessment and decisive action in order to ensure that our work here and in our various countries and regions does not fall short of our commitments, our responsibilities, and the actions required to make them a reality. The various reports submitted under this agenda item indicate that the Convention on the Rights of the Child and the optional protocols thereto, for the most part, enjoy majority support. Similarly, the reports indicate that there have been improvements in the social, economic, and political investments made by member states towards fulfilling the right to education for the girl child. The inclusion of a distinct SDG targeting violence against children is a historic feat. There's broad agreement among us that children are not soldiers. States are seeking to close loopholes that allow for the exploitation of children. CARICOM has happily borne witness to these achievements in other regions and in our own. Despite these considerable successes, however, Mr. Chairman, UNICEF informs us that more than 650 million children live in 52 countries that are off track, or at least 2/3 of the child-related SDG indicators will not be met in those countries, for which data is available. and over 500 million children live in 64 countries that lack sufficient data for useful assessment of their status. To have sustained progress, reliable data is needed, including in the CARICOM region. Good data is essential as a policy and planning tool to assess what has been achieved, to ascertain where the gaps in policy or implementation remain, and to apply targeted prescriptions and strategic interventions. With respect to implementation of its regional framework of action for children, CARICOM has acknowledged that we need data to alert us to the importance of planning for a critical segment of our human resource and to provide a ready and immediate point of reference for goals and targets set specifically for children. Mr. Chairman, every child is a gift to the global family and represents the hope, potential, and future of humanity. As we move toward 30-plus years of the Convention on the Rights of the Child, let us therefore so harness our efforts that the peaceful and prosperous world we seek to build is fit and sustainable for all the world's children. Mr. Chairman, I am much obliged to you.
I thank Barbados. Distinguished delegates, we have heard the last speaker on my list for this morning.